I suggest between 1 and 3 beta readers in the earliest phase of your manuscript. They will serve to guide your initial edits as you think about big changes that you'll be making. In short, your beta readers should be in your target audience, willing to give honest feedback. So be careful when you're deciding to choose friends or family as beta readers because they might try to be too nice to you. And they should also be able to communicate clearly what they like and dislike. So someone who just says, I love your novel, isn't really helping. Someone who just says, I hated it, isn't really helping. We need to get some more constructive criticism than that. I found success in manuscript swapping to find my beta readers. This involves finding another writer, ideally in your target demographic, and swapping manuscripts with them. Now, I've read a couple articles that indicate this might not be a good idea because in letting a writer beta read your novel, you're getting someone involved that has their own opinions about writing, which may actually be different than your own. But it worked for me, so that's all I can say. It's also good for networking because the writer that you're swapping with is also going to be in the same position as you when they go to query their manuscript or when they go to look for editors or agents and that sort of thing. So it'll be good to network with people who are in the same place as you, who are doing the same things as you. I think it's just a good thing. The downside of manuscript swapping, of course, is that you have to spend a great deal of time on someone else's work and not on your own. But exposing yourself to other people in your genre is also very helpful. And I think in editing other people's work, you get a good idea of how to edit your own when you're doing those edits. I found good beta readers on critiquecircle.com and critiquematch.com. I'm particularly fond of Critique Circle. I'm going to make a separate video on that, but it is a pretty awesome website where you can find someone pretty easily to read parts or all of your novel. So once you've identified your beta readers, make sure you have a system that you're both comfortable with. It has to be helpful for them, fruitful for you. I like to use Google Docs, and this involves creating a Google Doc and sharing it with them and allowing them to make real-time changes on the document so you can actually see when they're reading it and you can see what sorts of notes or comments or corrections that they're giving you as they're doing it. Though some readers might not appreciate reading your novel on a computer screen, and I get it. In that case, you have to go hard copy. And if you do, just request that they take as many notes as possible because your best benefit from your beta reader is the feedback that they give you within your work. And these notes are, of course, going to be a good resource for you as you begin your edits. And I just think they're pretty fun to read. So if you are committing to a waiting period, that is, if you're finished with your novel and you are not going to look at it for a couple of months, you can still send your work off to a beta reader, but don't do so too early. You want your manuscript to be fresh in the mind of your beta reader when you get to that editing phase. So I recommend giving them 2 weeks to a month to read it, and then giving them some questions that you've pre-written that they can answer so that when you finally connect with them, you can not only read their notes, hear what they have to say, but read their answers to that question. And of course, you want to make sure that you have a good, long discussion with your beta reader so that you can get the most out of that beta read as possible and get their impressions and use those impressions to begin editing. Now, a side note from that, you want to make sure that you don't just go ahead and do everything that your beta readers say. Some people have opinions that are not your own. You are the writer of your novel. So even if a beta reader says, hey, I think you should change that, take that into consideration, but don't always do it just because they told you to.